football at its absolute best.
Yeah, they had us the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne.
I think I got my swagger back. Oh.
I love it, baby.
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. McGrath for the win. He got it. If you don't like college football and you watch this one, I'm not sure what your problem is.
Reddit did to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Thursday, October 2nd. The Volunteers, they head to Fayetteville. The good people of, I guess I should preface this statement. Well, I don't know what order I want to go in, Landon, but the good people of Fayetteville, they don't exactly know their way to or around Omaha. And for me, really, I mean, anytime I travel, I'm going to wear at least something Tennessee hat, Tennessee shirt, something. And I'll fly out tomorrow. So I'm just I got to pack just to carry on, nothing big. So I got to be strategic, thinking about what I'm going to wear Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the flight back. I'm wearing Tennessee gear again. It's like, what am I going to wear on the plane? And something kind of popped up in the corner of my eyes. I'm folding some laundry and trying to decide. And it was this big, beautiful Comfort Color shirt that said 2024 National Champions. I thought, man, if Dave Van Horn won't bring a national championship to Fayetteville, I will.
There you go.
So,
that's a good point.
Heads up, Omahogs. It is Wednesday. I'm sorry. Good call, Jeff. But heads up, Omahogs. Some people with some real experience in Omaha are coming to town.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like to lose in the national championship. So
no, wouldn't know.
No.
So I hope that everyone making the trip to Fayetteville will follow my lead. Landon, I hope when I see you bright and early Friday morning, probably not even bright, honestly, just Friday morning, I hope you'll be wearing a national championship shirt, hat, whatever it may be.
Yeah, well, I got all the tattoos all over my body, so I'm.
Oh, you're gonna wear a shirt that perfectly, or a pair of pants, whatever it may be, that shows it off. Okay.
Yeah.
Nah,
I just won't wear any. It's just permanent. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, I'm fired up. Love a good.
That's not true at all. I'm scared of needles. There's no way I get it. If it's a tattoo, it's a henna or a fake one. There's no way I'm getting a tattoo.
We need to make a tattoo bet. Like, we need to put something on the line for you, I think. Not now. We don't have to get into that now. Just at some point we need to, I think.
That's fine. I mean, there's been some wild bets. People have lost. There's a guy that shoved a 5-layer burrito up his butt. I mean, it's a wild place for sports gambling. I guess the apps aren't doing it all. People got to do stuff like that. So yeah, let's do it. I'm in.
Well, the people were right. They said gambling would lead to lives being destroyed. And I mean, I've got to think if you put a burrito up your butt, like, your life's destroyed. I don't think it gets much lower than that.
You don't recover from that.
No, there's none. It's not happening. Yeah, it's gamble responsibly, folks. Gamble responsibly. Don't bet on the Vols is my advice. But if you are, we'll give you the lines to bet. This week, what is the over, by the way? Do you know it off the top of your head?
I can probably find that out pretty.
And I'm curious because I'm not following this line. That yesterday, or God, dude, this week has been crazy. And that's why this show is
58.5.
Take it. Take it. Don't bet on Tennessee, but if you're going to, take it. Yeah, that's why I'm really fired up though about this weekend. Is I kind of felt like I'd never get to tomorrow, and tomorrow's going to be crazy, but we're good. We're gonna be in Fayetteville. We're gonna be cheering on Tennessee. I still have a ticket. If somebody wants to sit next to me and Landon, you can sit in between us. I'll allow you to sit between us.
I don't know if you want that, but yeah, sure.
No, you don't, but you can. You will.
If you lose a bet, you can do that.
Yes. But yeah, it's away trips are fun. Yeah, I'm fired up. What are you most looking forward to? Have we made Friday plans yet? Is it just the game, or not the game? What are you most looking forward to?
I just like going to different cities that I haven't been to. So I'm excited to see. I heard they have a cool strip area. So I'm down to see all the bars and everything.
Tin Roof?
Oh yeah, I'm so down. I like that. That's tin. If anywhere that has a tin roof, I'm gonna go there because I assume that's where everything else is at. I think it's a safe assumption. I don't really have to look up anything. Oh, there's a tin roof. That's where everything's at.
Sure. I don't even care if that's where everything's at. Like, I'm going to Tin Roof.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in.
I think you're right in that thinking that if you end up there, that's a good spot to be. But that
can't go wrong with
show up. I could show up and there could be nothing else, but it could be Tin Roof in a Sam's Club size parking lot, and I'm okay with it.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about a Sam's Club. I'm like, now you're talking. This is awesome. We can
Sam's
go
Club pizza and
yeah, we can go fill up on samples and then go to Tin Roof. It'd be awesome.
I like that you went to the free stuff. I mean, the pizza's like $2,
right? But boy dinner,
yeah. We'll preview Arkansas. We'll talk week 6. Sorry, Tennessee's week 5. We'll preview week 6 of college football. It's kind of crazy. We talked about it. Does College Game Day end up there? Probably not, but also there's nowhere really great to go. And I know Cal's playing better. Cal and Miami feels like just as weak as Tennessee. And, well, I guess there's more on the line there. But in terms of the teams, just as weak as Tennessee and Arkansas.
Is that where game day's at?
Yeah, they're at Cal for Cal Miami.
I mean, there's no other.
We talked. There's really not this week. There's not.
And that's a 10:30 game. That's crazy.
I
guess they were kind of hoping for Florida State, Clemson, and then Florida State screwed that up. So,
I feel like they would have been at A&M Missouri if it was at Missouri. Maybe.
Yeah, because they've already been to A&M, haven't they?
They've been to A&M this year, and I think they obviously don't have a problem going back to places. I think it's just A&M's number 25. There's nothing crazy about them.
Right.
And so I don't think even if they've been there this year, I don't think would have been on the radar. We also talked about, do they go to Oregon? But I mean, it's on
a Friday.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, it's also not a big game either. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking through here and I'm like, where else do you go? Cal Miami is probably the obvious choice just because it's two fairly good. Like Cal's beaten some people this year, at least. They went and won an SEC game. They
just want to go to California.
Terrible Florida State. Or no, they lost Florida State. Sorry. That's right. That was Florida State's first win after losing to Memphis.
If you lose to Florida State this year, you're in a rough spot. I don't care what your record is.
I think that should. Yeah, no, for sure.
Must win for Cal. Since they lost to Florida State, they have to beat Miami to have a chance.
To have a chance to.
I don't know what are they in the ACC. I'm assuming
they are. Yeah.
Okay.
Are. Yeah.
I guess I have a chance in the ACC.
I think Florida State this year could be a disqualifier for making a playoff if they went undefeated the rest of the way. If Tennessee can split a series with Alabama split games with Alabama and Georgia and not make the playoff, Cal will not make the playoff losing to Florida State.
Yeah, kind of like a Vanderbilt game. Like that's a fireable offense. Like
yes.
You shouldn't be in the playoff if you lose that team. I agree.
We didn't really get to talk about that absurd article much, did we?
About DJ?
No, the Tennessee not making the playoff if they don't win one.
Yeah.
Both. They said both
Well,
of them. They said they had to beat both of them. Tennessee at this point would pretty much have to go 12-0.
they don't get me. I am not reading that.
I didn't read the full thing. I skimmed it because I thought, where do they have Tennessee losing? And the answer was nowhere.
Yeah,
They
that
don't
was just
assign a
absurd.
loss anywhere. It was very interesting.
Yeah, I have no clue where you got. I mean,
Maybe they thought it was a 14 playoff still,
maybe.
which would make sense. They're probably thinking, why are they talking about Tennessee in the playoffs this year? They don't, and that would have been fair in a 14. I wouldn't have predicted it. I probably would have, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, because then you would have to beat both of them at some point.
Yeah, I mean,
whoever's in the SEC championship, you'd probably have to beat them.
Assuming it's them.
Yeah. It didn't make any sense to me. Did not read it. Didn't waste time on it. That is just the dumbest thing. I mean, we have a segment exactly for stuff like this.
That's why I thought we might talk about it some more tonight.
Okay.
Because we didn't really.
Yeah.
We can just, it's short. I'll read the highlights when we get there, and we can go over it and do all the things stupid people do. I am going to get into tell you guys about some of our good friends. Before I do that, I want to give one more. I know we did a little bit on Monday night, but I want to give one more shout out to everyone that participated in the golf tournament, whether it's players, sponsors, volunteers. We really appreciate it. Standing O for all you all. Standing O. Greatly appreciate it. I know I had a ton of fun. Landon told me he had a lot of fun. He could have been lying to me. That's fine. He told me he had a great time. So we really appreciate it. Appreciate Iguani for being such a great host. We raised quite a bit of money for Special Olympics, which was obviously the goal. And we're excited to see how they're able to utilize the athletes, utilize the money just to make it a better experience for the athletes, whether that be on events they hold throughout the year or travel to events, whatever they need it for, and hope that helps some. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to Special Olympics of Greater Knoxville. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I had a great time. Can't wait to do it again. I think the biggest part obviously was raising money, but when you really look at Special Olympics, if you've ever been to an event, like, it is literally like a ton of fun, a blast to watch these people compete and just have fun with it. Like, I know we get really upset with sports. I mean, obviously we just talked about losing bets on sports, but I mean, these guys like really enjoy it. They look forward to it. And it's just something special to them. So it's awesome we were able to do that. I'm glad it kind of all worked out, or it was kind of up in the air the day before with the hurricane and everything, but we were able to get that in and, support them. And we appreciate everybody kind of supporting us and coming and showing up. And in essence, we get to give back to them. And, there's a lot of, I think, schools that they cover, and not all of them, I think, fundraise. So, you got to include everybody. And we just want to make sure that we're able to fundraise as much as possible for them. That way they don't have to worry about it. It's not a burden on their part. So,
Absolutely.
Really awesome to see. And hopefully it's bigger and better next year. We won't have a hurricane to kind of go around. I mean, knock on wood, I guess. But
Right. And to add on to your point, if you've never been to an event, one thing that I want to do, and we didn't get around to it, but I'm sure we can make happen. If anybody listening wants to volunteer at an event or help in any way, let us know and we can get you in contact with the right people. They have a lot of big events throughout the year, need a lot of help at all the events. And I'm sure they could, they'd be happy to have you there and assisting in several different ways. There's a lot of ways they can use volunteers. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know. We'll get you in contact with the right people and see what they can set up. And there you go. Now you have a way to, you're looking at Landon going, I don't have a reason to go. You have a reason to go to an event now. So
Yep.
you can't say we didn't try to get you there.
There you go.
I'm also going to tell you guys about Grade A Grounds. Grade A Grounds is a local coffee roasting company in Kingsport, Tennessee, owned and operated by two educators. They definitely care about education, care about the students in the classroom. Educators, they care about their coffee. Grade A Grounds combines those two things. Of course, they make great coffee, but also 5% of all sales are going to a nonprofit organization that supports students all over the Tri-Cities called Coalition for Kids. That money goes directly towards keeping a classroom at Coalition for Kids stocked with the necessary supplies needed for students. Another goal is to allow students to display their artistic talents. All the labels that you see, all the coffee label or the labels on the coffee you buy, those are created by students in those Coalition for Kids classrooms. So it's a great way to recognize them in their school. That they partner directly with those teachers in the art classrooms and those students to create it. So it's really, really awesome. And they kind of branched out too on the Vol-sicle, which is a special edition for football season. It's more than just those kids in the Coalition for Kids classrooms. So a lot of neat stuff that Grade A Grounds Coffee is doing. So make sure you go check them out. A lot of great coffee. I mentioned the Vol-sicle. That is you got to get it. Got to get it while it's hot. Almost literally, it's going to go away soon. But a lot of other great additions there too. BS for Blueberry is my favorite. Tell them Caleb sent you. Use promo code GOVOLS, capital G, capital V for I blanked on the percentage. 10 or 15% off today. I need to write that down. 10% off today. That's it. Make sure you guys go check them out. Make sure you bought some coffee. Go do it today. Thanks.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Little Arkansas, baby. Let's get down into it. What does your first, like when you looked at this game earlier in the season, like I guess before the start of the season, what were your kind of thoughts on it, and have they changed any?
Yeah, I've always had Tennessee in the driver's seat of this game. Now, the only thing that made me kind of unstable about this is winning on the road at night. We knew it was going to be a 6 or 7 p.m. kick, between 6 and 8, I guess, p.m. kick, since late August, I guess, is when they announced that, early August. And so that made me uneasy, but I've thought going into the season, and then of course as we get closer to the game, that Tennessee is in the driver's seat. I knew they were going to be favored. I was a little shocked at the line, or not shocked, but the line, it was a little higher than I thought it would be. Not much, but a little bit higher. But I knew they'd be here. I would say that I feel, you said what's changed. I feel less uncomfortable about the road game at night. I would say that is not like that's going to be the big thing that changes the game, because I think Arkansas still has to do a lot of stuff right. It's not going to be, their fans are loud and they're drunk, and that's going to be tough. But that still brings, just because Tennessee's done it before, doesn't mean it can't bother them still. I think it can. I just think now we know Tennessee can handle it, and that makes me more comfortable. But I'd say that's the one kind of, let's see how this environment is, and can they put that away, and if the breaks go against them, can they respond? That's another thing they did at Oklahoma. Talked about it the other night. Breaks went against them, and that's easy to fold. It's easy to fold in any football game when that happens, but especially on the road. So I think the thing that's changed, I feel more comfortable about that being on the road at night. But I would still say there's some, hey, let's see how they respond.
Yeah, I think looking at this game, I thought Arkansas would be worse than they are. Now I think I don't want to say they're getting to that point, but they're not as good as I thought they were like a couple weeks ago. Like, it's changed a little bit for me. I like what they have at quarterback. I think they're athletic, and it kind of gives them a chance in games to have a dangerous quarterback like Taylor Green. But when I say dangerous, it can also be dangerous to them as well.
Right.
It's literally feast or famine. I think they're 80th in pass offense efficiency and 71st in defensive pass efficiency. So what that tells me is, yeah, they score some touchdowns. He throws for a lot of yards. He also throws a lot of picks. He has 9 touchdowns so far, seven turnovers. I think 5 interceptions, 2 fumbles that he had against Texas A&M. And they had the lead 3 different times in that Texas A&M game and lost them every single time. So they're a weird up and down team, but when they're good, I feel like they are pretty decent. But when things aren't rolling, then they tend to self-destruct a little bit. And I think the main thing that they want to do is run the football. And I
Mhm.
think that kind of goes right into Tennessee's strengths with, Tennessee's, I think, the number one rush defense in the country. So, um, and I think a lot of them wanting to run the football is because Taylor Green has a 54% completion percentage. So
Yeah,
they kind of have to run the football.
I mean, there's no denying that's the best. I'm not necessarily saying tuck the ball and run. It is the best part of his game, but that's obviously a part of it. But also just that he's better when he's able to get out of the pocket, when he's able to use his legs at some point in the play. So yeah, I think not only do they want to do that, I think it's really their only path to success. If they try to, if Tennessee's offense is able to get out to a fast start, if they're able to get out a run away and Arkansas tries to play with them, I think this could be a game that I mean, you're going to see it on Sunday that people are saying Josh Heupel is a jerk and he runs the score up and whatever. I mean, I think their only way is try to control the clock, make the run game work somehow, and try to control the game. Of course, I don't see that happening against this Tennessee defensive line, but I think that's their only path to real success.
Yeah, they need big plays to be able to be in football games. Like they rely heavily on big plays. But like if you force them in where they're like having to make big plays to keep up in the game, I feel like that's when turnovers happen, and that's where this game could get upside down in a hurry. If you let it, I mean, if you keep Taylor Green in the pocket, make him throw it from the pocket, just be disciplined and stay at home. I feel like this isn't much of a football game. Now, Jaquindon Jackson is a good running back. I think he leads the SEC in rushing right now.
And really, though, the only reason he does is because Dylan Sampson had a week off because he only rushed for 30 yards last week.
Yeah, he had a rough go of it last week. But he's a big kind of bruiser, so it's going to be. I think this is a big game for Keenan Peely and Arion Carter. When a play does break down, are they at home? Or are they able to tackle Taylor Green in the open field?
Sure.
Mostly I'm looking at Arion Carter because I feel like if somebody's going to spy, I think it has to be Arion Carter. But yeah, like you got to be able to tackle him in space and get off the field on third down. If he's able to keep picking, like you get him in third and long, he wants to kind of everybody sit back and he's able to rush and he runs a lot to his right. So that's probably going to be the majority of where he rolls out to. And, they're probably going to be in one-on-one situations. So you got to make the most of it. And, you got to go play your game. I like his closeout speed. I like his eyes. I think he should trust his instincts and just keep your eye on number 10 across the ball. And, when he gets out of the pocket, go get him.
Yeah. And that's another thing I think that Oklahoma made me feel better about going into this game is that, I mean, I don't think Jackson Arnold is necessarily deadly with his legs, but I think he's obviously good with his legs, and Tennessee was able to limit that plenty. And so I think I look at this Arkansas team, and I'm going, yeah, is Taylor Green better than Jackson Arnold with his legs? Probably better, but how much better? Like what is he going to be able to do that Jackson Arnold just flat out wasn't? He's probably going to be better about turning the ball over.
Yeah.
But also, this Tennessee defense is one of the better defenses in the country, let alone the best defense he's faced so far.
And that's the thing. Texas A&M kind of bottled him up. He wasn't able to rush for hardly anything, and neither was Jaquindon Jackson.
Yeah.
And the only real – I mean, they scored 14 in the first quarter. I mean,
it was
7 was a 75-yard touchdown on like the second play of the game. So,
sure.
Didn't really do much after that. And I got to think Tennessee's defensive front is better than Texas A&M's or every bit the same.
Yeah. Here's kind of I want to look this number up because I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. So in 9 of Jaquindon Jackson's 202 yards of Jaquindon Jackson's total 511. 202 of those had come from 9 plays.
Oh, wow.
And 0 of those 9 plays were against Auburn or Texas A&M. So you talked about being, I mean, they've done a lot of damage on big plays, and most of those in the rushing game. You did see that one to start off against A&M, third play of the game, I think. And so, I don't see him consistently being able to run the ball over 15 yards. I think he'll be able to get a couple yards at a time. I think Tennessee, though, will limit his big run plays. I don't see him being able to break off 15, 20 yards more than twice, certainly. Yeah. I don't even know if it'll happen twice, if it happens, once it happens once.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think the big thing, too, is how good this defensive line is, how good these linebackers have been. The secondary has been fast and physical, and that is a massive boost in the run game.
Yeah, when you're able to have physical corners out there on an island, it makes that quarterback hold the ball for a little bit longer, and that leads to sacks and turnovers and pressure and forced throws, and so that's it's big to have 2 corners out there. I think a guy like Ricky Gibson, and we talk a lot about Jermod McCoy, and rightfully so, but Ricky Gibson, is he not the most underrated starter on Tennessee's team right now? I mean, I don't know if he's been really tested so far, but he's not giving up anything.
I probably just because he's not. Yeah, I mean, how much has the ball gone his way? Not a whole lot. But I said this the other night too, in that Ricky Gibson is similar. I pressed on this before the season. The most important player in Tennessee's defense is the guy opposite of James Pierce Jr., who have been proven to be very effective. Ricky Gibson is going to get that treatment the rest of the season. The guy opposite of Jermod McCoy is the most important player in Tennessee's secondary right now. He's going to get thrown at until he does what Jermod's done, and they say, okay, I mean, let's go back to this guy and focus over here. He's going to be the one getting tested. And so, yeah, is he the most underrated? Let's find out, because he's going – if teams aren't testing him at this point, whoever's calling the offense, it needs to be questioned, probably interrogated, enhanced interrogation techniques.
Yeah, they got their hands cut out for him this week. They got 2 6'4" receivers on the outside there, and Isaac Tesla and Andrew Armstrong, who has 420 yards already this season. 0 touchdowns, which is weird, but 29 catches on the year so far. I think Tennessee's leading receiver has like 8. I think it's Dante Thornton. One thing I want to see from Tennessee's offensive side is get those wide receivers going a little bit.
Sure.
I think a lot of it is just the way it's played out. And I think we talked about it some on Monday. It was like, is this a weakness for Tennessee, or is it just kind of how the games have played out? And I think obviously they haven't played a lot of second half against Kent State and NC State and Chattanooga, but I think you won a lot of 12 personnel in that NC State game, and then didn't really play much in the second half. And then Oklahoma, I mean, everybody knows you kind of took the air out of the ball. You had some good plays down the field. I think it was a big game for Brew to get going. Dante Thornton had a couple big catches in that. But I want to see, where is Squirrel White? I want to see him get going in the slot. I had him going 1,000 yards before the season. I mean, I thought that was a shoe-in with you potentially getting the college football playoff, but now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I mean, is he ever going to get targeted? Because it's been a weird just kind of way things played out, I think is the majority of it. But I want to see these guys get going. Kind of like with the Arkansas offense, like feast or famine, I feel like this Arkansas defense gives up a lot of big plays. Now, they also play really aggressive, and they're able to get picks. I think the secondary has 6 picks so far this season, so that is something to kind of hang your hat on. TJ Metcalf is good. You got Singletary, who's a transfer from Georgia. Obviously, Danico Slaughter from Tennessee. So you have some pretty decent DBs back there, but they are also prone to give up some big plays every now and then. So I like to see us get the passing game going, get these receivers involved early.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, Tennessee's got to hit on more big plays. They haven't been a massive big play offense. I think they need more of those. Sure, plenty here and there. Let's go back to the Oklahoma game and look. But I do think they need to find ways to hit on more big plays. I do also want to note about this Arkansas team. You joked about the offense coordinator and what he calls. Tennessee played this offense coordinator last year with probably an overall. There were some injuries by the time they played Tennessee, but probably an overall better, more talented offense. I don't know. Maybe not. But I also thought Max Johnson was better than what we saw at Connor Wegman. So I don't know if that's a loss for them in that scenario. But they rushed for 54 yards last year. Texas A&M did. With Petrino as their coach.
And not as good of a defensive front either.
Nowhere. I mean, a lot of the same guys. You just didn't have. Yeah, you just didn't have. It was not the same. I mean, it wasn't. And then the secondary certainly wasn't as good in the run game as they are now. So I think that's something too that you can, when you're trying to figure out some of this Arkansas team. I mean, go to the guy calling the plays. That'll help you a little bit.
Yeah, I looked at the injury report. They're not on. Hurd and Campbell are not on the injury report so far, but they can be added, I think, up until like 90 minutes before game time. So we'll see. I mean, we kind of figured with the bye week. They're what?
They're not even listed as like questionable.
No, it just has all the out people.
It doesn't have anyone as questionable or probable.
Mm-mm.
I don't know the rules. I'll have to look them up because there are certain rules. But it may be Thursday when that reporting has to come in.
That final one? Okay.
Yeah. That I think you have to list certain guys as whatever because someone's already gotten, I guess, flagged because they haven't really gotten in trouble yet, but already gotten flagged for not listing someone as questionable or probable, and then they're magically out before game time with no explanation.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean that's big. I think if you're going to get Tennessee, if you're going to get the passing game going, you need those tackles, for sure. So we'll see kind of where it looks like Lance Hurd's going to be fine. John Campbell, that's something to just continue to monitor because he just hasn't been able to finish a game. I mean, Dane Davis has played tackle more than I think Hurd and Campbell. So, we'll kind of see how that plays out. But yeah, I definitely think you need those guys to make a run to the college football playoff. I think that was evident when you looked at that Oklahoma game. So yeah, not surprising that they're not, I guess, on that. They should play. I'm interested to see kind of how much John Campbell goes in this game.
This comes from AsiaBlue.com. Not sure which blue team they cover, Kentucky. Talking about the new rules. It says failure to provide accurate and timely injury reports will subject schools to potential penalties ranging from $25,000 to $100,000. So I would argue, I mean, again, I don't know how they exactly decide what's not accurate, but it seems like it would be sketchy to not just list him as out for guys that have been out previously or have been probable and questionable. You would think you would at least need to list them as one of those two things if they weren't going to make the trip and try and play. And I don't know the rules. I don't know if that's how that works, but
yeah, because you have to send it in 3 different times, don't you?
So you update it. It is starting on Wednesday, and then you update it daily up to 90 minutes before is the final one.
Okay.
Yeah. So sure all the SIDs are loving this.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. They're like, hey guys, you got to send it in again.
Right.
That's the thing. It's like, I mean, I guess it's a good thing, especially I guess when betting is that is a huge thing in college sports right now. I guess that helps some, but they can list them as like probable or questionable, and then they just don't play too. So
Sure, but I feel like if at least if you're saying probable or questionable, there's
You
doubt
kinda-
that they would play. Whereas if they're not on there at all, in
Yeah.
my mind, that's zero doubt. Like if you're not on there, you're good to go.
yeah, that's true.
And then I think in the 90-minute report, there's game time decision on there. So if you're not a game time decision on there, you would be in pads, you'd be warming up. So it's one of those where if they don't travel this time around, well, now you're wondering what is going on. Like, why is that the case?
Yeah. It's not an injury at that point,
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I mean, what if it's not injury related? You have to still, because this is called an injury report. I'm just wondering.
Like,
throwing it out
I'll
there.
just suspend all my injured players.
Yeah,
That's a good loophole you found. I don't know if it's an effective loophole or not, but it's a good thought at least.
yeah.
It's also, I didn't know this about the injury report. It's an SEC mandate and it's only in SEC games. So Tennessee didn't have to do one for NC State. I did not realize that.
Oh, okay. Tennessee hasn't beaten Arkansas since 2007.
Yeah.
And I know we've only played them like 3 times since then, but that seems
Three
like
times in
something-
Fayetteville. We've played them twice at home in that stretch, I think, too. Here, I'll just look it up.
Okay. I thought they have a 3. I think it's been twice in Fayetteville and once in Knoxville. The one in Knoxville was Butch Jones, because I think they've beaten Derek Dooley, they beat Butch Jones, and they beat Jeremy Pruitt in 2020.
They also beat a Phil former team.
Right, but not
But
in
that.
row.
Oh, okay. So it was
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. So 04. Well, then, but that makes me think. I'm looking it up because that makes me think it would be longer than 3, but it is 3. So I don't understand how that 3. I guess they came to Knoxville. So Tennessee, yes, Tennessee won in 07 in Knoxville. That's where I was confused. I thought that game was in Fayetteville. Yeah. I thought you said 04. That's where I got confused.
Okay.
We're making sense now. Now I'm on the same page. I was like, where did I get confused? So they haven't won in Fayetteville since 01.
Gotcha.
And then they lost in 06 in Fayetteville, won in 07 in Knoxville, and then the only 3 times since then have been Butch, Dooley, and Pruitt.
Yeah.
2 or 3 world beaters of coaches.
And it was kind of crazy. 07, Tennessee had 3 picks in that game. 2 were by Eric Berry. 1 was by Patriots head coach Gerard Mayo.
Oh, nice. Good pull.
Yeah. Arkansas had 3 running backs of Darren McFadden, Felix
That was
Jones,
that year.
and Peyton Hillis, all in the backfield.
That's crazy. Who was their quarterback that year? Was it one of the
Dick.
night who?
Something Dick.
Sounds like a joke. I know it's not.
Yeah.
Allen. Wasn't it 2 Allen brothers that played there pretty consecutively, if not right in a
There was
line?
Landon Allen, and there was
Wasn't there a brother too?
I don't know.
Casey
sure.
Dick.
Casey Dick.
But I guess after his 2 interceptions, I don't know if he got injured, they put in Nathan Emmert. Darren McFadden was 0 for 1 in the passing game.
Hate to see it.
Ooh, here's a good one for Tennessee fans. A little good piece of trivia. You might know it if you looked up the box score, which I'm assuming you did. Who was the leading receiver in that game?
Oh, I know. Number 21, Austin Rogers.
Would have never guessed that one.
I mean, look at those receivers. That was a tough receiving core.
Yeah. The 07 makes a little more sense. 07
Josh
season makes a little
Briscoe,
more sense.
who else was
if
on
that's-
there?
On that one, it was Lucas Taylor, Josh Briscoe, and then Arian Foster had a reception in that game,
Okay.
but obviously not a part of the receiving core.
Who else was running the football for Tennessee besides Arian Foster? Was there anybody else?
Montario Hardesty, Gerald Jones, and then Lennon Creer.
Pretty good running backs.
I mean, Montario Hardesty and Arian Foster are up there on the all-time. Arian Foster's number 2. Montario Hardesty's number, like, he might not be top 10, but he's just outside of it if he's not top 10.
I think he is 10 because or maybe Jabari Small.
I wanted to say
catching him.
I wanted to say he was 8 for some reason, but that may not be right. So yeah, I mean, literally like a great.
Yeah,
when you look at all-time Tennessee grades,
definitely running the football a whole lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's time to go beat them again.
It is time. You think Tony Vitello will be back there? If he shows up, Arkansas fans are gonna. Oh, see, he loves this place. He wants to come back so bad. Montario Hardesty's number 9, Tennessee's all-time leading rushers.
Okay.
8, good friend of the pod, Jay Graham. Sorry for the diss, Jay. Didn't mean to do that. Unintentional. Is he ETSU still?
I thought so.
Special teams coordinator, maybe? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. What does it take for Tennessee, for Arkansas to beat Tennessee? What's the breaking point?
Wait, say that again.
What does it take for Arkansas to beat Tennessee? How does Tennessee lose this? How does Arkansas win it?
I mean, I think the only way that Arkansas wins this game is you have Taylor Green and have a Anthony Richardson type game where he looks like the best player in the country.
I think it has to be a Treon Harris. Anthony Richardson couldn't even do it.
That's true. But I'm talking like that kind of performance.
I'm just reminding you the absurd quarterbacks Tennessee's lost to in Florida Gator uniforms.
Yeah, you could also name some receivers that have beaten Tennessee. Yeah. I mean, that's the only way, right? I don't see anybody else besides Taylor Green that has any capability to score points.
I mean, Jaquan Jackson, if he rips off some big runs, sure. But I
just don't see that.
I don't see many. Well, and I certainly don't see Arkansas being able to just consistently drive the ball down the field in the run game. I don't see that happening. But if they are able to, then heads up, it could get dangerous. Chase said too the other night on the Chase Thomas podcast, and I like this one with a caveat I wanted to add in. Tennessee's got to turn the ball over. Arkansas's defense has to force turnovers, but I also think going back into, I don't think they can drive the ball down the field consistently. I think Tennessee has to turn it over in their own territory. Like that's where Arkansas has to create turnovers if they win this game. I think if it's advantageous territory they get the ball in, then those turnovers could be moot points.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, doing that, I think Tennessee has to protect their quarterback. It can't be like in Oklahoma, and I don't ever think it gets to that point. I think if you see like those tackles struggling, I think same thing's going to happen that happened at Oklahoma. Take the air out of the ball, and let's just get out of there with the win. I know Josh Heupel just wants to win, obviously, but it's got to like infuriate him. Just be like, hey, can we have like just a little bit of time, and we can score so many points,
right?
Because I think you have the quarterback to do it. I talked about it with on SEC Unfiltered earlier. I think Nico is capable of beating a team by himself, but he hasn't been asked to yet. You haven't needed him to. And maybe you need him to down the road against the Georgia and Alabama to go like, hey, this is your game to go get us one. I don't think he has to against Arkansas, but I would like him to be like the icing on top that just takes the top off the place.
Sure. And I don't disagree with, I believe personally that he has the capability to. I also would like to see it before you get into those scenarios. Like I'd like to see some series, some plays, a quarter where he does kind of take over, and like, it would have been nice. It would have been nice if he was able to make something out of nothing. For example, in those plays against Oklahoma where the strip sacks occurred. And I'm not saying Hendon Hooker doesn't get strip sacked there, because the first one especially was just a bad job by his blockers.
You get touched.
But I would like to see, if Hendon Hooker's in that scenario, I could see a situation. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't blow my mind if you were like, pause, what happens on this play. If it was Hendon Hooker, I'd be like, I mean, he might gain 15 yards here. I don't, he just had some, I think I've tried to coin the term escapability. And again, I'm not saying, oh, Nico sucks, he wasn't able to do that there. I'm not saying that by any means, because he has had plays like that where he's made something out of nothing. I mean, what would have been a massive turning point in that Oklahoma the game could have potentially got a lot uglier if that 50-yard pass was that Dante Thornton as well, where he rolls out of the pocket and finds him in the flat.
Yes.
If that stands, where he did make something out of nothing. So, I mean, he has done it to a degree. Obviously, you're never going to know on the bad plays that happen. And I'm not blaming it on him, but would maybe like to see a little more of it just to feel better before we get into the Alabamas and the Georgias. But I agree with you. I think he has the capability to do it. I think he's done a little bit of it.
Yeah. I mean, the teams you've played so far, like, you haven't had to. I think same could probably be said about Jalen Milroe up until like that Georgia game. Like, he didn't have, like, no one really knew how good of a season he could have because he didn't have to like have huge games. And Nico's made some mistakes, but at some point, like, if there is really like a shot at him to win the Heisman, he has to have some of those moments. So yeah, this is the perfect game that I would like to see that going, just because of, I mean, these wide receivers, they're not going to just drop 8 like Oklahoma did, and NC State did. Well, Arkansas doesn't have the defensive front like Oklahoma, but like NC State, where they just dropped everybody and Tennessee just ran it down their throat. I don't think Sam Pittman is going to allow that. I think he's going to try to load the box, and he's got to trust his defensive backs, which I think are probably his, besides Landon Jackson on the edge, are probably the biggest strength on that Arkansas defense. So you got to put trust in them. But I do love an offense where it's kind of pick your poison, and I hope that the passing game is up for the challenge.
Yeah, and that's another thing I mentioned earlier this week too, is that depending on, I mean, let's see how the game plays out before I 100% comment on this, but I don't want to get in a situation where we're mid-season and still going, what is up with this wide receiver group? And so, I mean, I think if you don't see a big game from them, it's really time to start having the conversation. And again, that's a caveat of like, how many opportunities do they get? But also you're going to wonder, does the coaching staff trust them? Obviously you don't want to see many, if any, drops in this game. Because I mean, I think as good as Nico's been, I think the wide receiver group, or as good as Nico could be, or as much better as he could be, I think the wide receiver group can help him some too. I can't remember the drop statistic I told you the other day, but they've had just about as many drops as they had at this point in last year. So it wasn't how hard of a ball Joe threw, apparently. So I think they can step up and be a lot better, and not ready to just say, hey, let's hold their feet to the fire or anything, but it's time to, you have a bunch of good individuals. It's time to be a strong unit for this team.
Yeah. And if somebody can't get open, like, there should be plenty of depth where somebody else has got to come in and play. Like, Dante Thornton seems to be a guy that seems to be open. Like,
put him in.
I mean, I love he's kind of 1-for-1. He catches a pass, scores a touchdown, but I would love him to get more targets.
Yeah, let's see what happens on number 2.
Yeah, exactly. Or a guy like Mike Matthews, when he got in against Kent State, looked the part. I mean, let's see it. If somebody isn't getting it done, I think there's plenty of depth where you don't have to just play three or four guys. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
somebody else go in and get it done. Get open.
Yeah. Agreed. Who has a big game? Who is it? Is it a running back again, or who is it? Who's the big time playmaker? Or give me one on each side of the ball. I guess I won't make you choose which side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think you got to get Dylan Sampson going. I think he's your bell cow, and he's your best player right now on offense. So I think you feed him. Obviously, I'd love to see him overtake Jaquindon Jackson in the rushing yards category. That'd be fun. Continue to get
Especially
him touchdowns. Yeah, more touchdowns, more better. Want to see that. I think on defense, I'm going to go back to Arian Carter. I think that defensive front's going to feast. I think this is a good game for James Pierce. Nick Skirton, I think is how you say that. Scruton? I don't know.
I was like, I think you had it the first, or it was bad. It was close to the first time.
Yeah. He's the guy that transferred in, I think, from Purdue to Texas A&M. He had 2 sacks on Taylor Green, and one was, I think, was a strip sack. So I think whoever the edge is on that side should have a big game. And if they want to kind of keep their eyes over there, I think James Pierce comes off and has a pretty big game as well.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I'm going to lean with Dylan Sampson too. It won't shock me if Deshaun Bishop has another really, really solid game, but I think it's going to be Dylan Sampson's again in the categories at least.
Yeah.
I'd like to see us open up the passing game more, but you're going to lean on that rushing game. Why would you not? The offensive line's better in the rushing attack. You've got 2 studs right now running the football. I still would like to see Nico get more involved in the rushing game. I think a lot of those read option looks aren't read options, and I get it. You got to protect him to some degree, but I don't mind using it when you have to, when you have to, but I also think it benefits your rushing game and your passing game if you give those looks 1 or 2 times earlier in the game. I think it holds a guy backside. It makes that backside linebacker think. I think it does a lot of good stuff for you. So I'd love to see him get involved a little bit more in the designed rushing game.
And he's got to be smart with it too. Like,
and he has been to this point, right?
Yes, he has.
No, I'm not saying you're not saying that, but like when you look at the coaching staff and you go, you got to protect him. He has been to this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's my thing. That, I mean, you don't let him get down. Like, that's how you play. That's how you're playing smart. But just being conservative and like, hey, let's not run him here. We don't need to. And then he gets an Alabama game and we expect it to work perfectly. That's not how this works. You can't play scared to get injured.
Yeah,
I don't want to see that. And I'm not saying the coaching staff is doing that, but
that can't be why you're not doing it at all.
Yeah, at some point he's going to get hit. I mean, Arkansas is like, hey, Taylor Green's our best chance to win. If he needs to run 25 times, he's going to run 25 times.
They're not paying him that NIL. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they're trying to get that return on investment, I guess.
Exactly.
And yeah, just be Nico is a smart kid. He can take care of himself. So yeah, I would like to see him utilized more in the rushing game. I think that's a great point.
Sure. Defensively, I think did you I know you named some names. You finalized on James Pierce, correct?
No, I'm going to go Arian Carter.
Okay.
Just because him and that Taylor Green matchup, I think with the QB spot kind of matches up great.
And I'm with you there. I think that's the guy you need to have a big game, and I think he's positioned to have a big game because of the opportunities he'll get. I think this is another week you hear Jamal McCoy's name a lot. I don't think he's going to get thrown the ball a lot his way, but I think he's a guy. Alontae Taylor's last year. Do you remember how much he was just at the runner? I mean, he found the football. Mm-hmm. And I think Jamal McCoy's at that point right now that you talk about. So I'm just kind of going away from Arian Carter. I think I like that one better, but I think my next one's Jamad. I think he's the guy that steps up and makes those plays when either, gets a little outside and maybe a little away from Arian Carter, or they try to run the ball outside the tackles, which I think they're going to have to try more to have an effective run game. And I think he's the guy that's going to keep everything contained, make plays out there to really benefit Tennessee. So it may be, you may have to turn on the sound to hear his name. It may not be in the box score, but I think he's going to impact the game in a massive way this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. If you just want to put him on Andrew Armstrong, that's a guy they've targeted. He has 29 receptions so far. I think the next guy has like 10. So if you're like, hey, we want them to target Jamad McCoy, hey, put him on Andrew Armstrong. Hey, it's going to come his way some for sure.
Yeah, and I think you'll see times where Jamal McCoy falls at number one Saturday and the rest of the year. But isn't that kind of the nice thing about Tennessee's secondary right now is they've all played good enough that you're not having to just tail. You're not having to identify exactly where everybody's at to get in position. I think that's good. And obviously I don't think that's the case when you go even too deep on Tennessee. I think if there's going to be times you see Jamad flip sides of the field. But yeah, he's not going to be doing that for 60 minutes.
And with motion and everything, it's so easy to like get out of that.
Yeah, get the guy away from it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
maybe keep Jamad opposite, and then they probably will not be bringing a lot of guys across the field. So
there you go.
If they're smart.
Limit motions. Limit people moving around in the backfield if you just keep Jamad McCoy in one spot. Yeah.
Sure.
Who's like a underrated guy that we're not talking about, but we might be come Saturday, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning.
Offensively, and it's guys that you probably want to talk about, but just haven't yet to this point. I wouldn't be shocked if we're going, Mike Matthews looked pretty good last night. It wouldn't shock me if he got some chances in this game. I'm curious if Cam Seldon, who's not listed, is out. If he plays, I think they're gonna probably play him more because you're gonna want to have a guy back there that can be effective in pass block, and then by nature you get some run. I still think he's not going to get as many touches as Deshaun there at the 2 but I think you could potentially hear his name some Saturday night. Defensively, I think the one I want to see more, and he's gonna have opportunities, and he's played well, and I know he's battled a little bit of injury, but Boo Carter, a guy that I was like, man, let's see how he kind of holds up, and when he plays SEC play, like he's not that he's small, but I mean he's young, but I mean he seemed to hold his own in the middle.
Yeah, we're talking about Taylor Green making plays with his legs. That star position is going to be a big one to kind of keep him and limit him from running. And if he's just getting out of the pocket, like you got to be able to cover up on third down. So, that could be whoever the star is, Boo Carter or Christian Harrison should have opportunity to have a big game.
I think Christian Harrison's played pretty good too. I think that entire secondary, I still haven't gone back and really been able to look, but I mean, I can't think of plays where the secondary's just gotten lost. Like there's not been any busted coverages, and I know there's not been a ton of opportunities, but there haven't been any plays where you're going, where are they at? What are they doing?
Yeah.
And so I think that's encouraging. But I think everybody's played well. I don't know. I'm not going to grade them out and say, but I mean, I think the worst part it's obviously great to get noticed, but sometimes that notice is a bad thing. So sometimes it's just good to fly under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of forget that guy's there.
I mean, I would like it to be. I'd like to see more Jason Jenkins a little bit along that defensive front. Made the most of his opportunities.
How do you rotate him though? I mean,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
talk about a tough place to get on the field.
Mm-hmm. No matter how good you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he made the most of his opportunities. I think he should be up for more snaps. I don't know how many that is, but I'd like to see kind of what he's like with a little bit more opportunity. Can he make the most of it even more? We'll see. But maybe Jason Jenkins on defense. Offense, man, I just want to see a little Chris Brazzell breakout game a little bit. We haven't seen it to this point. It's been kind of odd. I don't know kind of what's going on. I mean, Dante Thornton is like our leading receiver. He's not even starting. Right. Chris Brazzell is. So
And they just missed some targets in the end zone on him too. That's
that's a little heartbreaker a little bit.
yeah. Which I stand by. I know he's good in the end zone. How much can you keep throwing it your way when you have Brew McCoy opposite of him?
Yeah.
I'd love for him to prove me wrong.
That's an automatic touchdown when he gets the football.
Yeah, or that too. Yeah, at this point, just get the ball out to him. Yeah.
I'd like to see.
I want to see Chris Browse score them. I'd love to see him score.
Yep. I'd like to see them tight ends get utilized a little bit as well, and hopefully this game, like if it looks like Lance Hurd's going to play, John Campbell, I think it kind of opens up a little bit more for those tight ends. You're not too worried about protection and being in 12 personnel. Those guys can be utilized in the passing game.
Yeah.
Miles Kitselman, does he just continue to – he was that forgotten guy in the spring, and now he's, I guess, to this point, the best tight end you got right now? All-around tight end?
All around, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, hard to argue.
Right. I certainly would love to see him get out in pass coverage more. I also think we can use him in more creative ways in the pass protection. And I don't know if I necessarily need to see that this week. Just because of the nature of what the game is. I think it's certainly something to look at moving forward. Because you're not going to have John Campbell Jr. for an entire game. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Just got to play the cards you're dealt.
But if they do want to load the box a little bit, you go 12 personnel. They're kind of selling out for the run. Does that open up that play action, tight end flat kind of thing, or a little pop pass maybe?
Pop pass. I mean, I think it also, if you can block well in 12 personnel, you've got the burners on the outside to
throw it.
Yeah, I mean, you get them in one-on-one coverage. You get the safety help that's on the other hash mark in Tennessee's wide splits. Like, let's see him make that play.
Yeah, and you're not so worried about an overthrow either.
Sure.
Kind of helps.
Yeah.
All right, score prediction.
Score prediction. I've been battling this.
Okay.
Lot of let me go down a little bit just to be kind of safe. I don't see them scoring a lot. That's the problem. And then I'm like, how much can Tennessee win by?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give them 17. They got that last week. Maybe they get a turnover. Maybe they make a play on special teams. That helps. I've got them at 17. I think it could go way over, but I have Tennessee at 37. 37-17. That's a 20-point win. I've got it 3 scores, maybe just 2 scores. But again, don't see them scoring much.
Wow. We were close.
Same thought process too. Like, because I feel like I think this Tennessee offense kind of explodes, but I don't want, like, it just seems crazy to have them winning by 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems crazy to have them win by 20, I should say. I'm sorry. Like, I
Yeah.
don't feel comfortable, but I'm also trying to just like
there's not a position on the field where Arkansas is better than Tennessee.
Right.
Not one.
Vegas has them at 13.5, 16.5. Call it. I think it's actually at 4 or 5 points for home road teams.
Yeah.
Or
Joey Boots has 38-20. He said garbage time tutty in the last 5 minutes.
Maybe that. Yeah. Okay.
I had 38-17. That's what I had.
Okay.
So pretty spot on there. I think Tennessee gets it going early. I think Arkansas's defense is okay. Obviously their offense can put up points, but we just saw them against Texas A&M where they score 14 points super fast and then they score 3 the rest of the way. Like, if you have that big of a drought against Tennessee, I think
it can get out of hand.
Yeah. And then it's kind of like the NC State where they were kind of pressing and, Tennessee kept getting turnovers or they kept going on 4th down. We'd get it back in our own territory. And then, it's a snowball effect where the score is just gets so much worse because you keep pressing.
Yeah, and I think that too, looking at you talk about their defense, I could see this is a week where I'm not as keyed in on, my big thing with this Tennessee offense and it encompasses the entire team is you got to limit 3 and outs. I think this defense gives up enough big plays, as long as Tennessee hits the big plays, I could see Tennessee going 3 and out more often than they did against Oklahoma and NC State and still running away with it, because I think the big play will be there this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd like to see them start a little faster than they did against Oklahoma. It kind of took them a while to get going.
Yeah.
And NC State, it kind of took them a while to get going as well. So, yeah, I'd like to see them get going early. That whoever gets the ball first, hopefully it's us. Or if not, we'll get a quick 3 and out, get the ball right back, and let's go score.
Yeah. And Monty, I agree. Tennessee's always, I can't disagree with that. That's a fact. But you also look at Oklahoma, you just played 2 running quarterbacks. NC State, running quarterback. This Tennessee defensive line, this Tennessee front 7, this entire defense, when you factor in the fast and physical secondary, I'm not going to put them up against the best Tennessee defenses yet as a whole, but I will say, show me the best rush defense Tennessee's had since this team, and I think you got to go pretty far back.
Yeah.
Rush defense. That's all I'm leaving it at.
I agree. And like usually like a running quarterback is going to hurt you third and fourth quarter when that defensive line is tired, but this defensive line doesn't get tired because there's so many of them. So
yeah. And
it has been an issue. And I feel like there was an emphasis in like, hey, we have a lot of guys that can help us. This is what we want to do. This is the plan. Yeah. Are you going to get all the stats? No, but at the end of the day, you are going to be on a defensive front that's one of the best in the country. And if you want to be a part of that, stay here or come back.
Jason Jenkins,
transfer here, whatever you want to do. So
right.
They've kind of built that because of, I think, the running quarterback issues that they've had in the past.
That, and then, I think you look at, when I say rushing defense, that's really strong. But let me tell you why. I think it's just they're faster than they've been. They're deeper in the defensive front. They're deeper. Really, as a front 7. I think when you just throw I think having a guy like Jeremiah Thielander, if you're having trouble with a rushing quarterback, let that guy loose. He covers. The dude is sideline to sideline coverage. You've got
put in Jacoby Thomas somewhere.
Yeah, you've got defensive linemen that don't typically take bad angles, which is a big part of running quarterback. If you take bad angles on them, they're going to take advantage. You have linebackers who don't take bad angles. You have a secondary who thus far has tackled really well. Go back and look at that Florida game. We just couldn't tackle Graham Mertz. That's all it was. We had him tackled plenty of times and couldn't bring him down. Specifically, guys on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen that thus far. So that red alert button that I may have out for some other people, but I normally have out for a running quarterback is in the drawer this week. It's not. I'll pull it out if I need to, but I don't feel I need to yet.
Yeah. Also, knowing how good Tennessee's defensive front, we got a question by Ronnie Feldt, says, how many sacks do you think Tennessee will get Saturday? I'm probably going 3 or 4, but Arkansas, if they're smart, they're not going to just sit in the pocket, because
that's why I think the sacks are few. Because with a running quarterback, a win is a 2-yard gain. If he gets 2 yards and you bring him down or force him out of bounds, that's a win.
But also their receivers are 6'4". It's not like they're just, slots and
right.
Can run around and do a lot of that short stuff. That hasn't been their game. It's been get him out of the pocket, throw the ball down the field. Well, if he can't get out of the pocket,
that's the thing. He's going to have to be creative. The pocket's going to collapse fast.
Yeah. Ronnie Feldt does bring up a good point. Coming off a bye week, I think is huge. You mentioned it earlier about Tennessee kind of getting that monkey off their back with that, winning in a hostile environment on the road in the SEC. And you did that. Maybe this could have been a trap game a week ago. But you have that bye week to kind of regroup, get healthy. Arkansas, they played Auburn tough. They played Texas A&M tough.
Yeah.
And now they play this Tennessee team that just goes, and goes. I mean, at what point are they hands on the hips or waving that white flag?
Yeah, and to the point about the A&M tough game, like if they win and I may feel even a little bit more nervous. I'm like, all right, this is a team that just finds a way to win. And that's a dangerous team when they can just find a way to win. They didn't in that game. I mean, quite the opposite. They kind of found a way to lose. And you don't want a team that can find a way to lose.
Well, Auburn, they forced 5 turnovers, and it was still close.
And, I mean, if we believe Hugh Freeze, good Christian man Hugh Freeze, he would never tell a lie. He said 9 times out of 10 they win that game. So, I mean, might have lost that game if they played 9 more times. I don't know. Eric Kane has such a distinct. We need to just get him on and let him rant about Hugh Freeze. I don't know if you listened to one. I can't remember what show. Was it Monday show? Right? And he just mentioned Hugh Freeze, and then like you can hear it in his voice and his tangent. You just kind of sees like black and goes at him. Yeah. He had to calm himself down. It was awesome.
Not a big, huge Hugh Freeze guy?
Or no, it was Urban Meyer. Sorry. It was Urban Meyer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, way worse.
Almost one and the same. Hugh Freeze is Urban Meyer without the resume.
See, I think Hugh Freeze is a more likable Urban Meyer. No?
Maybe because Urban Meyer is so hateable, but I don't think Hugh Freeze is likable to any degree is why less hateable Urban Meyer, maybe I could get on board with. Okay. But I could never put likable and Hugh Freeze personally in the same category.
That's probably better wording. Yeah, Urban Meyer, I mean, everything. I mean, that guy just sucks.
Hates kickers.
Doesn't hate PDA.
Hugh Freeze, if I had to guess, based on the reports of him as a high school teacher, and then the phone reports that came out of Ole Miss, I would guess he does more than that, Ronnie. That's just a guess, but I'm just reading the reports.
5-layer burrito,
huh? Maybe.
That's why he was in that. Do we know why he was in that hospital bed?
Oh, he had I think it was a surgery.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a sweet photo. I'll give him that credit.
What kind of surgery? Is it a removal?
Possibly.
Of a 5-layer burrito?
Yeah, possibly.
Ugh. Or maybe Urban Meyer did it to him.
That's more possible. Yes. All right. So we went through game 5 predictions. You read off Joey's. Let us know your score predictions here. And rank who you hate the most, Urban Meyer or Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
Saturday. It really starts tomorrow. I might get to watch some Thursday games. I guess we normally get to watch that late Thursday game, but usually by the time we get get home, it's kind of like, all right, that game's not intriguing anymore. There was a good one the other 2 weeks ago, I think.
You know what games are on Thursday?
Texas State and Troy. Here's one I'll be eyeballing. Sam Houston and UTEP. I won't be eyeballing it. I lied.
The Friday games are pretty good. That'll be
future opponent.
That'll be 2 fun ones to go watch somewhere.
Yeah, well, and then I think you have also Syracuse and UNLV. I mean, I think that game's just intriguing because UNLV's they are fighting for a playoff spot. I mean, they are one of the favorites to be a top non-power 4.
Okay.
So I think that I assumed you were talking about Houston, TCU, and Michigan State, Oregon. I assumed those were the 2 you were talking about.
Syracuse, UNLV.
Okay, so you're those. So you're talking Oregon, Michigan State, Syracuse, UNLV. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were talking about that UNLV game. Yes, then we are on the same page.
Okay.
I just don't like to assume things.
Yeah, I'm interested because that game's at 6.5. I mean, just looking at it, I gotta think it's hard to go against UNLV right now, but I think if there's a power forward team against UNLV, Kyle McCord, who played at Ohio State, I I think I might go Syracuse in this one.
To cover.
Because of the odds.
Yeah, to cover, I agree. If I'm talking pick a winner, I'm probably thinking UNLV might find a way to win, but I would probably take Syracuse to cover the 6.5.
Yeah. I mean, this is a big game for UNLV.
Yeah.
They keep who else do they have left on their schedule? I'm interested.
I can't imagine there's another Power 4 team on there. Maybe at the end of the year, maybe they play someone out west. But again,
they play Oregon State and Boise State.
Boise State will be the biggest game.
Yeah.
Because realistically, you could trip on either Oregon State or Syracuse. But if you beat Boise State, you're probably more than likely I shouldn't say more than likely. There's a good chance you're still in the driver's seat to be in that top Power 5 or top non-Power 4 team.
Yeah.
Because Boise State's one of the teams they're fighting for that spot with currently.
Yeah, I mean that might be the game that decides it because Boise State doesn't really play anybody. They play Oregon State at the end of the year, but
it'll depend on what UNLV does against these two non-Power 4 teams.
Yeah,
because it could just about be wrapped up from there.
Mm-hmm. It'd be interesting. Them get in, just come to Tennessee and get the doors blown off of them. That would be awesome.
For sure.
You know what's funny?
No, I don't. But inform me.
I saw this earlier. It was Matthew. It was a sign, like a game day sign. It was Saluka. It's UNLV, not UNILV.
Saw that. I'm glad in a world of chaos we still get good game day signs.
Yeah. All right. Let's I do have a good friend to tell you guys about real quick. I'll get to that in a second. And then we'll get into, if y'all have any questions, drop those in the chat. We'll get to those here in a second. And then we'll do some score predictions or just, I guess, some picks. If we have any, go through the slate of college football here in week 6. Let me get to that beautiful ad read here. God, with this golf tournament, we've had so many emails come through. It's been insane.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Dang,
that's kind of why I shave. My anxious tick is pulling at my beard right here, and it just a lot of people thought I misshaved, and that wasn't it. It's just where I do that, I kind of twiddle with it and just run my fingers through it so much that I'd rip the hair out right here on the right side of my chin, looking bald. So I was like, hopefully now the golf tournament's over. That was one of the anxiety driving. Hopefully with that, when this grows back out, it'll be fine. So we'll see. I maybe mustachioed forever. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, I like that. So were you meaning? Did you want to just leave the mustache?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I need facial hair. I'm ugly. I gotta cover it up. And I know some people are probably thinking, Caleb, you're not less ugly with the mustache. I disagree. I've seen myself with both. I think this is a good look on me, in fact, and I would keep it if the chances of women talking to me were not 0 without it. So
there you go. Guys, go check out our good friends at Autograph. Download the app today. We are excited to be partnering with Autograph, a fandom company co-founded by NFL legend Tom Brady. Their new app, Autograph, gives diehard fans a one-stop shop for all the best fan content for your favorite team. It's obviously the Vols, and rewards you for doing so. What you're doing as a fan already, listening to podcasts, reading articles, that kind of stuff. You can listen to more important issues anywhere, but when you listen on the Autograph app, you can earn coins that can be redeemed for amazing rewards, including free discounted and no-fee tickets, A-plus memorabilia, and merch, and one-of-a-kind experiences. Download the Autograph app in the App Store or Google Play Store for free and use referral code ISSUES. That's referral code ISSUES, the Autograph app, where your fandom lives. Guys, go check them out today. Don't forget to use that referral code ISSUES.
Do it. Week 6 in college football here. We'll see if we get some excitement. I'm not entirely convinced. You do have Missouri and Texas A&M playing. Missouri doesn't have many places to trip up on the schedule, but this is one of them. So I think anybody that's interested in the college football playoff, so most people except for Kentucky fans, sorry, you won one this week. I had to give you something. We'll have eyes on it.
There you go.
Terrible or not terrible test we find out this week with NC State. If NC State loses to Wake Forest, I think we just delete that game from our schedule and act like it didn't happen.
Okay.
Fair.
There's just another bye game.
Sure. Idle. We'll put Idle like. So am I the only one that noticed them doing that in the Tennessee-Oklahoma game? They put Idle for Georgia and Alabama instead of bye?
Yeah, I guess I didn't see that.
I think it was talking playoff, and it was like where each team's at that week and who they're playing. So Idle makes sense, but I feel like it's always been bye. So I don't understand it. I don't know if I care either. Auburn, Georgia. I'm very excited for another Hugh Freeze press conference. They're 24-point dogs. If Georgia didn't look like a total disaster in the first half, I'd probably say take them, but I'm not going to say that. I just hope it happens so I can see that Hugh Freeze press conference.
Okay. Ole Miss, South Carolina. Do you like that game?
That was my next one. I mean, I think it'll just be a fun one. I think this is a game Lane Kiffin could win by 30. I think this is a game that could look like that Kentucky game.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that they lose, just look like it.
It's crazy that they just can't score. Like, they put up big numbers on offense. They just cannot score.
Yes. Then we also have guess who Stanford's playing this week in conference play? That was my next game.
Say that again.
What's Stanford's next conference game? Where do they go in the ACC this week? Sorry, I think it's a home game for them, but the A team has to travel absurd distances.
Is it Boston College?
Close. Virginia Tech.
Oh, okay.
Not really close, but you get it.
Yeah.
They're on the coast. Well, Blacksburg's on the coast. You get it.
Do you try to go
in the ACC? Okay.
Do you think at any point they just like go the opposite direction and fly like over Europe to get to
Virginia Tech travels east to get to Stanford.
Yeah.
Go east. If you go east far enough, you'll get to Stanford. Yeah.
Right.
I'd love to see that. It's like those flight paths they show you. Like, what an absurd flight path to get here. And then everyone that understands that the paper maps you read aren't accurate is mind blown by it. But yeah, I could see a world. They got to fly over Russia. They got to fly into Russian airspace to get to Stanford next time.
Yeah.
Did you see Miami's equipment truck traveled 1,200 miles safely, I might add, and hadn't made it to Cal yet, which, again, shouldn't blow anyone's mind. I would 100% guess that would be a really long trip and probably a bunch of weird ways that they have to go. I wonder what the GPS says that trip is. Because, that's not as mind-blowing. Because it's about that just coast to coast, isn't it?
You got to go all the way up.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a crazy.
Yeah. How are we not like got big enough planes where we're not having to?
I don't
Why are we
understand
driving trucks.
I don't understand the whole equipment truck thing, just because they don't do that for NFL teams. Like, I always thought it was just a football team, but NFL teams
they got their
don't
own
do
plane.
that. No, I mean some or maybe just one. I know the Patriots have their own planes, but
Yeah.
okay, yeah, no, sorry, I'm way off. Because it's 3,000 miles. I was about to say, I was thinking coast to coast is like 2. Maybe I don't know if that'd be another 1,000.
Yeah.
And Cal's almost northern. Yeah, Northern California.
I think every player should just wear their pads on the plane, and we get it that way.
Yeah. I agree.
I
with
mean,
that.
especially with all the NIL money that Miami's just throwing around. I mean, why are we having to pay some poor old guy to drive 3,000 miles across the country with a truck?
I still don't know why they don't just put it in the cargo space of the plane. The players are taking, and they fly back Saturday night. As long as they're taking, you should have a lot of checked baggage. Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to know because I've watched the NFL travel videos. I don't think I've seen them drive trucks. Maybe they do. Maybe I've missed it. But I would like to hear. I would like to understand the reasoning for it because I'm an idiot. I don't.
Yeah. Agreed. Missouri, Texas A&M.
I mentioned that one, but yeah, you can tell us your thoughts on it.
I was thinking about the line on this one.
Oh, okay.
A&M -2.5.
I just don't know.
I mean, the way Texas A&M has looked, I'm just like Marcel
Surely it could be
Reed
Missouri.
is. Yeah, man. I guess. I don't know. I think I go Missouri.
Oh, okay. I would probably lean Missouri. I also don't feel confident in that pick either, though. Like I just don't know in that game.
I don't. I just think the line is crazy to me. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I
thought
don't
Missouri would've
necessarily
been
love
favored.
it. Yeah, I would too. I know it's at Texas A&M, which I guess if it was at Missouri, you'd probably see that switch where they are favored. But yeah.
Ooh, I got a hot one for you. And it may be our over of the year. Like it may be just you take the over no matter what it is. I don't know what they've scored all year. First off, I think the Coastal overs are still safe. Coastal's 53.5. I think you can take that. We're not doing that one though.
Okay.
Okay, so they scored 70 on UNC and 63 on Ball State. They did have a 13-6 game against Gardner Webb. I don't know what happened. 30-7 against Charlotte. I don't know what took them so long to get going, but James Madison's over against UL Monroe is 48.5. Why not? UL Monroe doesn't give up many points. I don't know though. I can be the guinea pig. Do we put money on 48.5 for a team that scored 70 and 63 in back-to-back weeks and just find out? I feel like that's something you find out.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
48.5 is not a lot in college football.
I think my favorite is Clemson at Florida State. I got it -14. Florida State's going to play a backup quarterback.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That probably should be their starter, what we've seen this far, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, but he's not any good either.
No, they're just not a good football team. Point blank, period.
And the way Clemson's playing right now, I think I go that. I think you beat them by 24.
Yeah. Jeff Harrison said Vandy covering Bama this week. Ugh. 23 is a lot of points, but
I think I go
bad.
Bama. Yeah, I think I go
bad.
Bama. I mean, it's going to take one run by Diego Pavia, and it's
could be shot.
He gets hit by one of those.
His career could be shot. I meant,
yeah.
Sure. He also could easily mess up. It could be Bama in the lead by 28, and he can make a big run into field goal territory and shatter your dreams. Or sorry, they'd have to be about 24, I should say. You could also somehow muster up a touchdown. Not winnable, but big playable for sure.
Yeah, just the way that Alabama played, I gotta think they cover that spread.
Yeah.
Battle of the Birds also. FAU, the Owls, and North Texas Eagles.
Okay.
Battle of the Birds.
Do we take UCF to cover if UCF wins and covers at the Swamp? I'm going to be really, really just sad about last year. And I don't need to be sad about last year, but it will make me sad.
Do you know why North Texas has like an eagle, but they're called the Mean Green? Like their logo is like like an eagle.
There is a story to
that?
North Texas's Mean Green. Let's see if I can figure it out real quick.
I think FAU's logo is like the owl, and it's got like the
horn, like the
ear kind of thing, like
Yeah.
in the FAU. That's kind of sick.
It is a cool logo. For an owl, it's a pretty cool logo.
Yeah. Ohio State, Iowa, if you just want to watch nobody score. Which they put up some offense. Iowa's put up a little bit of offense so far this year. Cade McNamara, yes, he's still in college football somehow. Has the Iowa, I mean, the difference is it won't seem that big if you're just like a casual football fan, but when you look at how bad they've been on offense, it looks like when Josh Heupel took over for Jeremy Pruitt type of difference.
Okay.
So instead of throwing for like, I don't know, 35 yards a game, they're throwing for like 135 yards a game. It's fun to watch.
That's electric.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
So I kind of thought this was the case. There are two stories to it, but it does have to do with Mean Joe Green. There are two stories. One of them being that he made a tackle against UTEP and someone shouted, "That's the way, Mean Green," and I guess it stuck. And then there's also the story of in the same era, same time, that their defense was nicknamed the Mean Green, and that's how it started. So,
it's kind of sick if you're to be the guy that somebody changes their mascot for. That's
just their nickname, mascot remain the same, but yes,
okay.
They're still the Eagles.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think your point is correct.
Yeah.
Because
pretty BA, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, how good are you? My college decided that the nickname Eagles sucked. Sick logo. Their logo is kind of cool, I guess. It kind of looks like a normal bird. Sick logo, I guess. But we're now the Mean Green. Yeah.
Also, the one guy who yelled that out, how loud was he?
Well, it was a woman.
Oh.
I guess she was very loud. I can't imagine, though, there were a lot. Like, you probably didn't have to yell over a lot of people at a North Texas game in the 1960s.
Yeah, probably not.
Who all heard her? All 10 of them.
Apparently the right person did.
Right. Okay, let me get back to some games. See if I don't think there's any more to mention. That's it. That's your week. That's your week 6.
Indiana, Northwestern, Indiana.
Yes.
Continue.
Indiana continues. They're a top 25 team now. Rutgers trying to get in the top 25. They got to beat Nebraska.
This Ohio State fan at work told me that, and it's okay to say that now. He's like, I mean, y'all had been on a lot better place if you just would have hired Greg Schiano. Yeah.
Okay.
I told him to never talk to me again. So
yeah. Yeah.
He also said Tennessee's game day atmosphere is like 7th in the SEC.
Has he been to 7 SEC schools?
He hasn't been to Tennessee's. He's just been to a tailgate, is all he said.
One tailgate or how? Where was it? I mean,
he said he's tailgated before.
I would like to know then how many game days he's been. If he's never been to a Tennessee game and says that, how many even SEC stadiums, game days, tailgates has he been to?
I don't know. He said it would be like 5th or 6th in the Big Ten. I said,
I don't know if he could name 5 or 6 Big Ten schools.
I went straight to HR and reported him just for that. They're like,
I'm not convinced he's been to an Ohio State game at this point.
He told me he went to the national championship when they got blown out by Florida.
Good. He deserved that. And I'm not even happy that Florida won that, but good.
Yeah. He did say that this is kind of karma. Ted Ginn ran the opening kickoff back and he chomped in Florida fans' face and said, How about that SEC speed? And then they got blown out.
As one of my many fun facts, the opening, I think I've shared that on this show, the opening kickoff in the national championship game and the opening kickoff in the Super Bowl were both scored by the losing team that year. Chicago Bears lost to Peyton Manning that year.
Wow.
Fun fact. I don't know this guy. Doubt he listens to this show. If he does, good, because I want you to know how much I dislike you. Just based on the little bit I'm hearing about you. And I'll give you a chance, but I need receipts of these tickets you bought to the previous 6 stadiums that you've attended.
Oh, there's no shot.
And then I need to see the same for the Big Ten. You don't get to, I'm not sitting here saying Tennessee's better this, and this. I've been to, I think this will be my 9th this Saturday. So I can speak on at least the SEC. Not 7th.
No.
Also, game day atmosphere and tailgate atmosphere, as someone who's been to many games and stadiums, they're not the same either, by the way.
And it also just tailgate, it's all about who you're with, right?
Yeah. And also, and we can talk about this. I feel fundamentally strong about this take. I think South Carolina has the most underrated tailgate and game day atmosphere in the SEC. Underrated. That's it. Underrated.
Okay, yeah. I hate them and I'm never going back, but yeah.
Sure. But that stadium, like you saw it, they get going there for not good teams.
Yeah. I'm sure Arkansas will be
similar.
That's pretty.
I'm interested to see if they make it on underrated. Yeah. But for example, Kentucky doesn't touch South Carolina in either of those categories.
No.
In fact, I would never rate LSU's as someone. I will confidently say they're in the top 3. But because we went at the time of day we went and then just absolutely ran them out of the building, I wouldn't fairly I wouldn't be able to fairly personally rate LSU.
Yeah.
Because I would say my experience in South Carolina that year, in terms of just seeing college football fans, I would say South Carolina was better, but I also know the reasons why, and I know that that's not every week.
Yeah. I agree. I think Florida's tailgate scene was underwhelming, but the game atmosphere was cool.
They run into a little bit of problem that I think Tennessee does with space. I would be Tennessee's, you could end up at a place where you see a lot of people set up tailgating, but it isn't the tailgating scene. And I could see how you would have that opinion. Because I feel like Florida was just spread out. You're kind of hiking around.
Yeah, maybe we just weren't. It was just there were so many tents, but there was no one there.
We did hit that good pocket in that one lot on the way to the bar. That looked like if we were there all day, probably would have been my opinion of the tailgate scene probably would have changed.
Different. Yeah. We had a question from Joel Shuby. Don't know who that guy is.
He loves America, though. Asking the important questions.
Coach of the year, I heard. How many
I voted for him.
wins will Navy get this year?
I'm going to be 100% honest. Joe, I haven't looked at their schedule. Let's do that. Let's take a quick peek.
I'm looking at it right now. They might go Notre Dame, South Florida, like 2 big games. Obviously, the Army game. But they play Air Force, Charlotte, Rice, Tulane, East Carolina, South Florida, Notre Dame, and Army.
They've got, I would say, 2 very losable games until they see Army, who is also undefeated to this point. I think they could win.
They're trying to sneak in the playoffs.
Ooh, maybe. I think they could win 9, maybe 10 games, like fairly just kind of. I would take over if you told me Navy 8 wins this year. I'd take the over.
Okay.
I don't think I'd take it at 9. That's tight. I'd take it at 8 though.
For this year?
7.5 for sure. Not
this
just
year?
sweating the push. Yeah. So I know they win 4, obviously.
Okay. So knowing now, you're still saying 8?
Yeah, I think they probably beat Air Force this week. Beat Charlotte. That's 6. Sorry. I counted wrong. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, no. I think they get to 9 wins pretty easily. So I did count right.
Okay.
And then I think I could see a world where they beat USF. I could see they beat Army. Don't know about Notre Dame. They're so weird. I don't know where to put that.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Navy play, so I wouldn't be dumb to do that. That's why I'm saying I would take the over at 8. Like I think they could win 9 games.
Yeah. Agreed.
Fairly easily.
But if they want to get in the college football playoff, they're probably going to have to get to 11, right? And I think one of those probably has to be Notre Dame, right? They have to pad that resume a little bit.
They can get in. They would probably, because of who they play, they'd have to be Notre Dame. They'd have to be 11-0, I think, win their conference because they're not even ranked right now. So they'd also need probably Boise, UNLV, whichever one to trip up.
Yeah,
because they have to be the highest rated non-Power 4 conference champion. So they have to win all their games pretty much, especially, I mean, just when you consider who their opponents are in front of them, but then also to jump UNLV or Boise State, whoever kind of comes out clean on the other end.
Yeah.
Do we have to cheer for Army or Navy, whoever, if one of them make it in? I feel like we kind of have to cheer for them to win it all, even if they play Tennessee.
For sure.
Respect the troops, Landon. Stop.
Yeah.
Thank them for their service and move on. You take that loss like a man.
That's a brutal team to play in the college football playoff, too.
Yeah. Trying to stay healthy? Good luck.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be hitting all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I think Navy airs it out a little bit, at least. They let the ball fly.
Yeah.
I think it's Army that just doesn't.
They're just going to cut your defensive lineman. Good thing we have 15 of them. But
yeah.
We're going to need every single one of them during that game. For sure.
See some true freshmen for sure.
Yeah. All right. Stupidity.
Stupidity. Mine's just, I don't even know what lady wrote it. I'm not even going to, we don't have time to get into it, but I looked it up earlier. Tennessee has a 94% chance of making the playoff if they lose to Alabama and Georgia both and don't play in the conference championship. They have a 94% chance. I would think I'm shocked it's not 100, but we're also not talking about beating them both here. So talking about losing to both of them.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, my thing is like, if you said 11-1, at least you have some, like, you could probably give reasons like, oh, there's this many SEC teams that could end up 11-1, and this is how you don't get in. But to be 12-0,
yeah. Well, you'd be 11-1 if you lost to one of them. Because she said you had to beat them both to get in.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way that you're like, which I guess you could. I guess you could argue that's the only way you're 100% in. Sure, that's the case for everyone everywhere.
Right.
The only way you're 100% in is if you beat both of them and win a conference championship. That's the only way you're an auto bid. That's the only way you're 100% in.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking about opinions, you're 100% in if you beat both of them.
Yeah.
Or sorry, if you
only
lose to both and win out. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy that have to beat both of them. I was thinking, like, are they banging us losing another one? I was so confused because if you split them and don't make it to the college or don't make it to the SEC championship because say Texas and whoever you lost to is in there, you're in.
Right.
1,000 times out of 1,000, you're in. 11-1. It doesn't matter if you're a conference. You're 11-1 in the SEC. You're going to get into the college football playoff.
Definitely.
I think. I mean, it might be borderline. Like, depending on where everybody else in the SEC, you might be a top 4 team.
Right.
Don't make the top 12. I think that
All
was
right.
gonna be-
So just let's go ahead and talk about this while we got a chance. They're already offering travel credits to switch my flight. It doesn't say what time. It just says to Dallas. So I'm still going to Dallas. What's my price point? Tomorrow, I got to be prepared. This is going to come up.
This is what I did. I don't want to be the first one up there because it'll keep going up.
Yeah, you got to be the last. You either got to be the last and you.
Well, I think you got to like once 2 people get up there, I think you got to follow that.
I think it depends on where, because I think there's a dollar amount that's worth it. And then it's like, how close is it to your, like, is there a chance I miss my connecting?
I mean,
is there connecting?
You would do $1,000 to miss it by or to be like 5 hours late, right?
Right. But I would have to know, like, I wouldn't want to be in Dallas overnight. And I'd probably for 1,000, I'd be in Dallas overnight. That's fine. But for 300, no. Like, what is my progression? Like, how do I get to Fayetteville?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got to know. They're not providing me that information because apparently at check-in now you can bid. So if it gets to 500, they'll call your name, or 750. Without knowing that information, I ain't placing a bid, quote unquote. But if they see, that's the thing. If they just said, "Hey, your flight's going to be at 2 hours late landing," I'd probably tell them right now to go ahead and put me on that sucker. Like, whatever. I'll take $300.
That's what they did to me in Oklahoma City. They're like, "Hey, we need to clear some spots. We can get you home by this time." I had to sit there for 4 hours and be just 4 hours late to when I was getting home. I made $2,000. I mean, well worth it.
Here is the thing. This flight is my only flight on a Boeing plane. So I might take less as long as I'm not getting on another Boeing.
Okay.
So I'm going to keep that in mind. Prayers for my first flight tomorrow, please. I've watched a lot of documentaries about the Boeing stuff. Probably too many documentaries. I mean, I watched one like 3 weeks ago, and I'm flying. I'm an idiot. I don't fly a whole lot, and so to do that so close to a flight was just so dumb of me.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you. You'll have to let me know how much you get offered.
Yeah, I gotta probably pick my number that I'd be comfortable with, and then how late I would be okay with arriving in Fayetteville. What time are you think you're getting there? That'll impact it.
Fayetteville. So I am actually leaving later now. Raven couldn't get off, so I'm going with Joel. So
okay, you're back to the original schedule.
I'll be there Friday morning.
Okay, so I have to have the hookers and the blowout by what, 6 a.m.
But Deuce will be there. They're leaving early.
I don't have to get that early.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me know how that goes.
Which part?
Obviously all of it. Yeah.
Okay. Right. I'll keep you updated. I'll send videos.
Okay. All right, guys. That's all I got.
That's it for me. It's been fun. We'll see you in Fayetteville.
Can you give me one? Ooh.
I'm gonna shock some hogs, baby.
Get me fired up. Guys, go check out Roback, roback.com. Use promo code More Important Issues for 20% off your first purchase. They have the best quality clothing. Still got those state polos out. Got some quarter zips. The hoodies are awesome. So go check them out as fall gets here. Again, roback.com. Use promo code More Important Issues for 20% off your first purchase. Going hog hunting, baby. We're bringing the boat in, and we out.